Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
it's
they've had
bad.
more than a foot of snow.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Koa. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
We're
Good.
We're good. Thanks for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yes, thanks for joining.
I'm
We
sorry
are
I had to miss
streaming
the last
live. We're streaming live.
No
We're streaming
worries.
live. Just everyone, fair warning to everyone. This is going out.
Love it.
Watch your P's and Q's, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so yeah, I was saying I'm sorry I missed the last half of the meeting earlier in the week. It was really interesting conversation. It was going in a fun direction, and I had to leave at the worst time. But hopefully we can continue that today.
No worries. Oh, I'm so glad to see you guys joining. Look at this, Lisa. You're always so worried that we won't get people joining us.
No, it's the same fear I had when I was throwing parties back in the day, and I was afraid I was going to have, no one was going to come to my party. Hi, Spencer.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Shaman. Hi, Matt. Hi, Cassandra and Daron. I always pronounce your name incorrectly.
Daron, yes.
Daron, yeah, you're back after a hiatus. So good to see you.
Likewise.
Yes. I
Great
love your
seeing
hair.
everyone.
Yes, love the hair.
We need more colors.
We do.
Yes.
Lisa, I also want to congratulate you on your awesome new PFP.
Thank you.
Looking good. I noticed that you, yeah.
Yes, she looks just
matching.
like it.
You're
She looks
perfectly
just
coordinated
like it.
today.
Yeah.
Oh, this is badass Betty. She is my
Nice.
new favorite persona. I'm going to try and live up to her image if I can.
Love it.
She is a badass and I love her too. I'm in love with her and she is the perfect one. Like, anyway, it's fun, super fun. And since we're all going down this road, this is the only, I own two NFTs. Thank very much to Shaman today.
Yes.
And if you're really nice, maybe he'll gift you one too. He's and you get an NFT and you get an NFT and you get an NFT. Everyone gets an NFT today.
Like Oprah.
Yes, exactly. But this is part of his non-fungible heroes project. And so he had these beautiful profile pics created and they're super fun.
Yeah, we're going to learn more about that today, which is exciting.
We are going to learn more about that
I
today.
just want to say, Lauren, you are a cartoon, and I love the avatar in Zoom. That's pretty cool.
The avatars in Zoom are pretty cool. Everyone,
they won't let you change your eye color though, so everyone has like these eyes of darkness.
Eyes of darkness. I love that, Lauren.
I have a dark soul apparently. Yeah.
Yeah, that means you're ready to feed.
Yes, I'm ready.
Oh no.
San Francisco is my playground. Everybody watch out.
I love it.
Hi, Nathan, and hi, Ricky, and hi, Steven. I've got a lot of awesome people here. Hi, Scott. So for those of you that are new, or even if you're not new, feel free to drop an intro in chat. Most of us are in the marketing comms world, so love to network and love to intro ourselves and would love to learn more about all of you. So use that chat feature however you like. And you can also, obviously this is, we keep this group really small intentionally so that people can talk and we can unmute. This is not a webinar. This is really a meeting and we really invite people to comment all the way through this thing. So open conversation.
Exactly. And really, NFTs, it's going to be a good conversation because, I was having talking with the guy who runs AWE, the Augmented World Expo, and I was asking him, what does his NFT collection look like, right? And he said he owns one. And I'm like, all right, that's not good news. That's not good news. Hey, Cindy, thanks for coming. All right, Cassandra, Matt. Oh, I love what everybody's posting. All right, Lisa, you want to kick off?
Yeah, yes, I would love to kick off. So hopefully everyone can see my screen.
You sure can.
Awesome. So just we are live streaming this right now. Just so you know, I feel like I also would like to So why don't you introduce yourself first, Billy, as I kind of get this technology situated, and then I'll introduce myself and we'll go from there.
Excellent. All right, everybody. I am Billie Goldman, and I work for Intel, but this is completely unrelated to what I do. This is more of a passion project. I like to be innovative in my marketing efforts, and so I've been paying very close attention to this space as far as XR is concerned, because I'd like to win my next Emmy, like I have back here, or another Cannes Lion, in this space if I can. And so I am paying very close attention, and Lisa and I offer this XR pub crawl for marketers, so that we all can kind of see who's doing what in the space, and see if we can do it better. And that's really why we kind of get together on a monthly basis.
Yes, I love it. I'm Lisa Payton. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm an immersive media strategist and have been doing some form of marketing and communications for over 20 years now. So I have a lot of experience. And I also teach at the University of Oregon as an immersive media professor. I'm based in Eugene. And we've got an immersive media lab down here that I get to play around in. Thrilled to be here. XR is a passion of mine, and can't wait. I love everyone's perspectives. I love having us in. And to be clear, this gathering is really focusing on this technology through the lens of marketing and communication. So that is our specific area, our niche area here, and trying to put this through the lens of marketing and comms and what professionals in those industries need to think about. So today we are going to talk a little bit about in the news, and then we're going to have our vendor spotlight. Gen City Labs is here to chat about their work in this space. We've got a couple, I call it metaverse map jumping, but nobody else knows what that means. Our actual pub crawl, where we're going to actually go to places. We're going to Cyber today, and we're going to spatial.io today. So both of these journeys are available to you, and I can go ahead and put these links in chat in case, we encourage multitasking. If you want to go and get your avatar all figured out as we're going through some of the news, that might be a cool idea. It does take a few minutes to get set up. Both of these worlds are accessible through your browser.
I have to say, start Spatial.io now, because it's slow.
It's a little slow, but you know what? Everything's relative, Billie Goldman.
And it's fun. I mean, this is a picture of Lisa and I in Spatial there in the center. So I mean, it's a fun space. There are people walking around. It's worth getting your avatar and joining us.
Yes, we were having a lot of fun in the space last night, that is for sure. So a quick announcement, we are going to be speaking at AWE this year on the 31st of May in Santa Clara. We'd love for all of you to join us. We've got a very special discount code here to get 20% off. So it's a great deal. We're going to have, a couple special XR VIP events happening during that time. And with the May pub crawl, our virtual pub crawl will absolutely be a preview of all the cool shit that's going to be at this show. I just learned there's like over 600 companies on the show floor this year. So it's a wonderful place. Now, of that 600, not everyone is going to be kind of relevant for marketers, but Billie and I are going to go and curate what we need to think about and care about. And so can't wait. I've been going to AWE for I think almost 10 years, a long time I've been going, and it's just blossomed into this amazing community of XR professionals and enthusiasts, and they're just doing great work. So super excited to go, and we're going to have a big party down there. So join us.
This may be the last year they can fit in Santa Clara. I think next year they're going to have to choose a different venue. So please come join us.
Yes. And then next month, just as a reminder, our next pub crawl is going to be, it's the fourth Friday at noon, and we're going to be talking about the ecosystem of these virtual influencers. And yes, believe it or not, the third most popular virtual influencer in the world today is a sausage. And it has, millions of followers. So, like this or not, it's here. And I have really mixed feelings on this whole thing, but we're going to unpack that next time. And I can't wait to talk about it. Okay. In the news, let's go. So I wanted to just go through, and I know I hate this kind of wind up here, and I'm going to go fast, but Billie, you can always slow me down if I'm going too fast. And we're just level setting. In my world, the metaverse doesn't quite exist yet, right? We're looking for that interoperable, persistent network of virtual worlds, and we just don't have it yet. And that's my perspective. What we do have are virtual worlds. And yes, absolutely. You know, the places we're going today are actively used virtual spaces, but I don't call them the metaverse. Web3, you know, I don't align with this definition of Web3 either, but I think we can chat about that later today. You know, this definition, this is Wikipedia, everybody. This definition of Web3 really kind of relies on this idea of a decentralization and blockchain. And I'd be curious to see how many others on the phone, you know, equate Web3 or 3.0 with that. I certainly don't, but I very well could be in the minority. And then NFTs, right? And this is a non-fungible token, being a unique digital identifier that cannot be copied, substituted, or subdivided, is recorded in a blockchain that is used to certify authenticity and ownership. And we're going to be talking all about that today too, but just wanted to get these definitions out on the table because it's confusing, frankly. And I will say, you know, NFT, metaverse, and Web3 are not all mutually exclusive. These are three very different things, and they don't need to all be thought of as one bundled unit. Okay. Woo! In the news, so just the Super Bowl happened, everybody. You may be aware. And there's a great a great article in Ad Age, and I'm sorry that this Ad Age article is paywalled, but maybe some of you are members. But it was a really good article outlining how brands are using you know, this metaverse and virtual technology and how they used it during that big moment of the Super Bowl. And Doritos had a really good activation. And then the NFL and Intuit also kind of unveiled that they're creating a virtual world inside of Roblox. The Doritos activation was in Decentraland. So it's just so interesting to see how these big brands, like where they're going, where they're playing, and what they're doing. And I loved this quote from this article. Since Web3 came onto the scene, NFTs and the metaverse have been the main tools to which traditional brands have gravitated. The reasons are clear. Digital tokens offer new opportunities to extend consumer engagement and loyalty, while growing interest in gaming and online identity are paving the way for virtual reality. I just thought that was a very interesting quote, kind of talking about why brand managers and marketers are using this technology. Now, that was good news. Let's move on to some bad news. Crypto is a shit show, to be very blunt. And this, you know, there's been a lot of scandal with crypto. And this is just one example where now, you know, celebrities like Tom Brady, Steph Curry, and Larry David are going to be culpable for promoting this failed exchange and amidst all this scandal. So, you know, you got to be careful. The rules are all still formulating. And speaking of the rules, I'll come back to this is Doritos, but there's another amazing article that came out, very recent, this one, that is now saying that this centralized kind of project that was on this centralized blockchain is completely they're security, and that they actually need to start acting like one. So this was a very interesting ruling that I think is going to, and I'd be really curious to get those that are consider themselves to be experts in this field. I'd love to pause here for a moment and get your perspective on this. At the end of the day, this ruling has said that the Dapper Labs, who partnered with the NFL, was it NFL or Major League Baseball? Was a major league sports organization.
NBA.
Yes, thank you. The NBA.
Yep, no
that because they had it on a centralized, because it was centralized and not decentralized, that now they are absolutely accountable for following all the rules as if it were a security. So, you know, the interesting thing, according to this article, the reason they made that choice to centralize it was to reduce friction for consumers and to provide a better experience. I mean, it's really ironic, right? And we know as brands and as people that friction is a campaign killer. And there's a lot of friction. You can just ask Billie and I trying to get our wallet set up last night. It took us hours. You know, and we're probably savvier than most. So So this is an issue, and I would love for someone maybe from Gen C or anyone want to comment who is kind of following this?
I can chime in for sure. There's a very specific lens through which things are considered securities. There's something called the Howey test, which is essentially an interest in a private or public organization with the expectation of profits derived by others. That means you're investing in something, right? So when you look at anything in the Web3 space, and Dapper Labs is making essentially a trading card, right, with the NBA. They also have NFL, they have UFC.
Well, they want you to believe it's a trading card.
They do. But I mean, if you're going into buying a trading card, let's say you go buy a pack of baseball cards, right, the physical cards. Do you go into that with the expectation that you're going to profit from it, or do you do so knowing that they're collectibles and knowing that they're trading cards, right? Because this is essentially the digital version of that. And because, they've developed a much more robust ecosystem around them, you can trade them, you can burn them, you can combine them, you can, you can trade a bunch in for new packs. There's a bunch of different ways that people can interact, but there certainly is the availability of, financial windfall. If you get really lucky in a pack and you get a 1 in 1,000 card, that's going to have significant value. So it's interesting. I certainly think that because it's really just a digital version of a physical good that's existed for, decades and decades. I don't think there's going to be a ton of merit to that. And I think it'll probably be good for the space that this is happening, because when it does settle out, it should allow for an easier path for digital collectibles to be provided and interacted with.
Yeah, and I put the link to the article in chat, everyone, and this is a complicated issue, and there's some nuance. But at the end of the day, the ruling definitely said that these were not comparable to collectibles, and the quote here is, it is the particular scheme, and I love that they call it a scheme. It is the particular scheme by which Dapper Labs offers moments that creates this sufficient legal relationship between investor and promoter to establish an investment contract, and thus a security under Howey, the rules that were established by the Supreme Court. So the reason is because they built all of this on the blockchain that they owned. They owned the marketplace where these were being sold. And the argument is, well, if this company shuts down, we're going to lose everything, because there's no framework that they don't have their hand in. And ultimately the judge agreed with that assessment. So it's a slippery slope, because the other option is, okay, well, let's just keep it decentralized, which many things are decentralized. But then the problem there is, once again, there's a shit show of problems that comes with decentralization as well. So my takeaway from all of this is that it's so early and you have to be so careful. And this goes back to this beautiful headline of how Porsche effed it up, believe it or not, with their failed drop of their NFTs. And this is another really good article that outlines exactly what not to do. But they bailed in the middle of this because it was such a failure. So I know I'm doing a lot of great work here queuing up our agency. And I did warn them ahead of time that, I did send out like, this is what we're talking about. But, I don't pull my punches here. And I think these are important things for us to be thinking about as we're, it can be very protective of the brands and the publics that we represent and that we speak to. So anyway,
I have to say, as far as brand safety is concerned, I look at that Porsche article and boy, it just makes me want to take 10 steps backwards as far as NFTs, and really making sure that, what I do is going to be successful. And seeing someone like Porsche fall down and, potentially hurt their brand by doing something like this, is concerning.
And so let's end this little segment on a positive note, though, because it's not all doom and gloom. Doritos did, according to this John Higgins, this is his quote from this so this was from the Ad Age top, I think it was like the top 10 Super Bowl spots for 2023, and Doritos tied for number 6. And so, but Doritos in my mind is just a brand that makes sense to be playing around in a space like Decentraland. Like, I don't know, for me, that, and the way that they tied it together with the triangle, and there's just a lot of super smart things I think that they did here. This is what it looks like, right? They had an agency build this cool brand experience in Decentraland. It was very well attended. They had an event. I mean, this is what these things look like, right? You got all your beautiful avatars in there. And this was hailed as a huge success. So, I think at the end of the day, you have to be super smart and you have to be strategic. And that's why we're talking about this today. And then just to kind of give some context, I'm going to turn it over to Jen City here in about 1 minute. So if anybody has any questions on any of this or wants to pipe up, please do. But we've got this amazing map of the metaverse, and I like to just show this for some context of where we are playing today. So today, we are over here in our blockchain virtual worlds in VR moment here on this quadrant of our chart, and you can see spatial.io is here, 700,000 monthlies. Okay, so I'm going to consider that small. I mean, it's not huge, but it's more than 1,000, right? The reason it has 700,000 is because it's accessible via mobile. That's really that's one of the only reasons. And anything that's not accessible via mobile or even laptop, the numbers are so much smaller, right? And we've seen that. And I think companies are just starting to catch on that if they want to get those monthly active users up, they have to make it accessible. And spatial.io you can also sit in a MetaQuest headset and get into spatial as well, but you don't have to. It is built on the blockchain, but you don't need a wallet to play. So that's nice. Point of friction, definitely reduces friction. Yep. And brands like Vogue, Vans, and 7-Eleven and others are all represented in the space today. So that's spatial. And then the other place, this cyber, it actually isn't on my chart, but it's in the same quadrant over here. They apparently have 400 monthly actives, so they're about half the size of spatial. You do need to connect your wallet to customize your avatar or really to do anything fun. And the biggest brand execution here, I would say, was that Macy's held the virtual Thanksgiving Day parade here. So, and that build is still active, and in fact, we can go in and take a look at it. And I was actually getting delighted today in that space because it's like this beautiful nonstop 3D float experience. It's actually kind of fun. I mean, of course, no one's in there now, but if you can imagine it during the parade with, potentially hundreds of people in there, it might actually have been kind of fun. So,
I mean, did they have hundreds in there? We
don't know. And I can guarantee you Macy's isn't going to tell you how many people they had in there.
Macy's went that route, and chose that virtual world. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, they also dropped an NFT at that event, and actually our head of marketing, I think, was one of ended up collecting one. And so what you can see, because it's on a public blockchain, is how many were actually minted that day, and sort of the distribution of those tokens. So I don't have that information in front of me, but it's definitely accessible, and maybe on a follow-up I can
that's interesting. That's interesting. Before we pass it over to Gen City Labs, I have to say, NFTs have been very confusing for me. And I started to really kind of wrap my head around it at Art Basel, where I started to talk to artists and we're asking them, do they support this NFT concept? And they were starting to sell their piece of art with an NFT to basically authenticate it as, you are the owner. And I started to, understand that your digital identity is related to the NFTs, and you can actually show people, yes, this piece of art lives in my house, but I have an NFT of it, and you can see through my digital identity that I own this, right? And then it started to make a little bit more sense. Okay, those people that want to be associated with a particular brand have that as part of their digital identity. And you start to add these things to your wallet. And then what do you do with that wallet? But create a gallery of your NFTs so you could put it on your LinkedIn so people can start to actually see what your digital identity is in this space. And it started to click into place for me based on that. And so as Gen City kind of talks about what they are doing here, I don't know how many people here have a wallet and are collecting NFTs. I myself now have 2. It's interesting because we care about our digital identities, and those that we market to care about their digital identities, and so it starts to click in.
I think something that would be really interesting, Billy, when you're talking about artists and NFT, I don't know if you know the artist, the Damien Hirst, but he rolled out an NFT project recently, which was really quite interesting because what he did is he tied the NFT to a physical work.
Yes.
But it gets better. He basically asked the buyers of the NFT to decide which one they wanted.
Oh,
And
interesting.
if they picked the NFT, he would burn
All
the
the rest.
physical work.
Huh.
So he destroyed it. I'll post a link, but it was
Ay, ay,
really
ay.
quite interesting.
Yeah.
Good God.
Yeah.
I just
The
can't get behind it. I
gamification of
can't
everything,
get
Lisa.
behind any of it. I can't. I mean, I understand the value of digital, but I don't get
Damien is also like a particular flavor of crazy.
Well, let's turn it without further ado then. I'm going to hand it over. I'm going to toss the reins over to Gen City Labs. So we've got several folks from Gen City here today, and we're going to move into that section. And I've asked them to answer some very specific questions, or kind of, again, looking through the lens of this through brand managers and marketers and communications professionals. So you guys take it away. And once we get through this section, we'll go and explore our worlds together. It's the idea.
Awesome. Well, thank you. So yeah, my name's Mike Shaman. I'm CEO of Gen City Labs. Just as a quick background, you know, I got started in the digital space about 20 years ago doing gesture-based interactives using, you know, essentially a technology that would become the core for the Microsoft Kinect camera from a company called Reactrix. Then in 2008, I started a company called Helios Interactive. We pretty much were an agency that did nothing but build augmented and virtual reality experiences for brands. So that's the early days of total immersion and Meta IO and the DK1 from Oculus and, you know, finding latest, greatest stuff. And by the way, AWE, I think I've been, aside from the last couple of years, which I've missed, but I've been to just about every AWE that has existed. So I'm excited about the confluence of augmented reality, virtual reality, XR, and Web3, because I think Web3 is a very meaningful evolution of those experiences. I think that as we go through some of the questions here, hopefully you guys will get a sense of that. Now with Gen City Labs, what we're doing is really building out a platform for community creation, engagement, and reward. So as we talk a little bit about the application of NFTs, of the metaverse, and what those mean for brands and brand connections to consumers, what we're doing is actually kind of building out the architecture and framework for a new kind of relationship to be born, essentially one centered around ownership, which really Web3, you know, that's what Web3 is all about. It's about owning your digital assets versus, you know, in the past, maybe you're renting things with Netflix and Spotify, or maybe you're just, you know, there's a picture you have or other things that you get. But the reason that art and profile pictures and metaverse spaces can be valuable is because blockchain allows for authentication and limitation of supply. So anytime you have a limited supply of something and you have enough demand on the other side, that creates a marketplace. And then you can actually have tangible value in that. The one other thing I'll say before we get to the questions, Lisa, is that the reason for NFT ownership's rise over the last several years, there's kind of four key pieces to that. And if you guys want to take away, you know, the one thing about NFT ownership, or I guess the four things about NFT ownership that I think are important, Billy already nailed the digital identity component. Hugely important. Like you see Lisa's picture, you might see my picture on the screen. You know, these become key pieces of your digital identity. They're a flex if they're a particular image or a particular NFT. It's how you represent yourself in the world. Right now with, you know, Instagram or Twitter or Snap or whatever platform people are using, typically that's represented through pictures of vacations or my dinner or my family or my pets. But there's no real way to, you know, to flex like you do with when you wear a Rolex or where you roll up to a party in a Ferrari or something. So you think of digital identity and the flex as kind of one of the key elements. The second being community. That is, you share ownership of a thing with other people. And that digital asset, it's been really interesting to see communities form based off of common ownership and common interest. It's been really a big catalyst for that to occur. And, that's another reason for the rise of popularity of NFTs. Third piece is utility, and that's probably the biggest element of NFTs. If you look at Porsche, and I challenge that Porsche is a failure. They certainly stumbled out of the gate, but this is a very long-term effort for them. So I think that declaring it a failure already might be a bit premature. But the utility of ownership is important because you can authenticate that a person owns this thing. Maybe they got it because they showed up at an real life event. Maybe they bought it. Maybe they received it for participating in something else. But that authentication is important because then you can say, hey, this person has this NFT. Let's give them access to an exclusive experience. Let's give them a discount. Let's give them, something of value because they've proven that they're a participant in my world. So as a brand manager, when thinking about things, that utility element, they did something, and now I can actually authenticate that they did that, and I know who owns it. I'm not beholden to a database or maybe a registration that I used 6 events ago that I can't access anymore.
I like this utility, Shaman. I think you're headed in the right direction. We're just so far from that. I mean, thinking about things from an enterprise perspective, like getting certifications, right? And getting an NFT when you've completed a certification. And that way, we know that you have, actually completed this training versus you just saying you completed the training. Right?
But you know what? But that's like, trying to drive people to the polls because of voter fraud. Like, is there really a big problem with people faking their, faking degrees and such today? There isn't.
George Santos.
So, I mean, it's not a widespread problem. I mean, I understand, like, that doesn't solve a problem today in any real way for me.
The inefficiency of it, because right now, if you want to do a background check on somebody, you have to check in with education institutions, you have to check in with previous work experience. If you really want to do it and authenticate it, you have to have somebody going through that process. So you've got 8 hours of manual work. What blockchain does, it doesn't replace that, but it certainly makes it way more efficient to authenticate on chain. Yes, you've done these things, and maybe that's continuing education. That's a great point, Billy. Maybe that's certification of achievement, and you can do it instantly. So you're right that it's possible to be done, but what it does is allow it to be done much, much more efficiently and in a less time consuming manner.
And transparently, because it is on the blockchain, right?
Yeah.
The DMV is going blockchain. There's a reason for that. Okay?
California. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd also argue that the idea that all of this user data that we're creating as we're on this Zoom meeting or we surf the web, all of that data is sort of held on private servers. I'm not to say that Twitter's going to go out of business, but we could get another new CEO down the line who decides, I'm going to change the terms and conditions. What happens to all the content that I've created? It's gone. So in terms of like what problem is it solving, I think in general, while decentralization has tons of challenges, certainly to break into the space because there's a steep learning curve. But in general, I think it solves this issue of sort of dividing the liability of the storage of all of this data. And if it's stored in a decentralized network, there's not one particular actor that has so much control over it to change the terms or to wipe it out, or to the point I think you'd made earlier about Flow blockchain and Dapper Labs. Like, it's all centralized. If they go out of business, all of the value that's locked in there goes poof. Versus it being on a decentralized network where one person doesn't have as much sway over it, and there's sort of incentives to maintain the network.
And Lisa, I think that brings us to the first question, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if you want to pop that up real quick, but
and you guys can pop it up. So please share screen, and would love to see your visuals because no one's looking at anything right now except for our beautiful smiling faces. And the question is, what's the difference between NFTs and the metaverse? So let's go start there. What's the difference between NFT? Because they are not the same thing. I'm here to tell you, and I'm writing an article about that, so you can all watch out for that coming soon. But I think if you were to believe the media, these two things are very conflated. They're very commingled if you're reading headlines and such. I remember the headline about Lowe's and how they were in the metaverse because they created a 3D digital asset library. That doesn't mean you're in the metaverse because you've created a 3D digital asset library, but that was the headline of this, article that I was reading. So the thing here is the media doesn't quite get this, and it can be very misleading. So go ahead.
Can you guys hear?
Yeah, we can see your screen. Oh, we could.
Sorry,
Now it's
I have
gone.
to stop sharing screen because I keep getting these Zoom quit unexpectedly messages.
Uh-oh.
So if I pop off, Koa, you're my backup screen sharer. So
Alright.
I will punch in on cyberspace, but defining NFTs and metaverse, I think, is important because what Web3 offers in the way of ownership of digital assets is going to be meaningful because you will want to prove the fact that you are the owner of digital assets when you are introducing people to your metaverse galleries and spaces. So really, if you think of the metaverse as a container, think of it as the 3D internet, right? Essentially an immersive space to explore. NFTs are going to be the assets that exist within that container. So if you have a virtual house and that becomes that becomes your new Facebook page or your new Insta page, well, you need to fill your house up with things, right? Now that can certainly be pictures that you've taken, which is 98%, or videos you've taken, which is 98% of social media today. But that doesn't necessarily represent the things you own aside from being, photos of them. So from a digital perspective, the way to represent ownership and the way to represent digital identity, because that's what it comes back down to, is I can bring my NFTs into this space and show them off. One of the other reasons that they're related is that metaverses that are being built need to be interoperable. That essentially means I can take my NFTs from spatial or I can take the NFTs that I own, I can bring them into spatial, I can bring them into OnCyber, I can bring them into Roblox eventually, not yet. I can bring them into Fortnite, right?
Yeah.
And when you start thinking about a space that has 80 million active users and wanting to be able to represent some sense of individuality and represent yourself, that is one of the major goals, is really, I'm bringing my own assets to the party. I'm bringing my own things into this universe. And that's going to be meaningful for me because it's establishing digital identity. It's moving into the community.
I have a quick question on platform interoperability.
Yeah.
When you say that you can bring in an NFT is just a link to a thing, a digital thing, right? One of the I've been in games since '89, and I've done real-time 3D and stuff like that. And an NFT can be a 2D asset or it can be a 3D asset. When you say you can bring it into not Roblox yet, but you can bring it into Fortnite and stuff like that, are you bringing in an image, or are you bringing in a rigged 3D character, or what's because there is a huge interoperability problem between all of the different all the different platforms?
No, great question. Right now they are mostly images. Like there is a larger metaverse effort, kind of communal effort being made to establish standards. Because Spencer, if you've been in the space, you also know that if you have a virtual shoe in one world, how do you even define that thing is a shoe in the next world, right? How does the code represent that goes on a character's feet and it does these things?
Well, it's the nice thing about standards. There's so many to choose from.
Yeah, it's going to be it's one of the challenges. The models, we're seeing startups using AI that are taking things that are actually taking 2D digital images and automatically converting them, that are doing a really interesting job. Because, by the way, everything these days is an AI story, and Web3 and metaverse, I think, is no exception to that. But yeah, initially, I think it'll be all cosmetic, right? It's not going to be utility. And this is what scares most gamers. And gamers hate NFTs right now because they think that you're going to be in Call of Duty and have a really powerful weapon and then bring it over to Fortnite. And that's really not the case. We're very, 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 very far away from that.
Yeah.
Initially, I think you'll see the majority of things being very cosmetic and having very low functionality within the world aside from the visual.
I mean, what I imagine is, what you're actually showing today is a piece of art up on a wall in a space that you have in your metaverse and, or whatever, the 3D world that is. And I can show the same piece of art in a different 3D world, right? I mean, that's the extent of it today.
But you can do that without NFTs.
Yeah, I think Lisa,
I mean, you can totally do all of this without NFTs, people.
Absolutely, but I think a good way to think of NFTs, honestly, is just as like its provenance. Right, like it's attaching a journal of activity to a digital asset, and that's about it, right? Like now, does that have utility in terms of digital art? Sure, right? Like for some things, like you're going to care that I am the owner of this JPEG and that I get royalties in terms of how it's used and how it's consumed and sold on, et cetera, whatever the smart contract defines. You also may not give a shit at all, right? Like I just like the JPEG. I don't care whether I own it or not. I just want to plaster it up on the walls of my virtual studio. Great, right? Like it's the difference. You can now go buy a photograph by Henri Cartier-Bresson, right, and have it thrown up on your wall where it's just a cheap ass copy of it. And you could probably do that for like $5, but you can also buy an original Bresson, and that would cost you like, tens of thousands of dollars to have like an original printout. It's fundamentally about the utility that you're interested in as a user.
Yeah.
For some people, NFTs will have value as, showing the provenance of your vehicle. Who bought it, similar to what people do with Carfax right now.
So
right?
perfect segue, and I want to be mindful of time. We're already 40 minutes in. It's time. So let's get to the last question, which I think is one of the most important. Talk to me about some use cases of NFTs with brands, and where you feel that it's been actually useful. And we got a few minutes for that, and then we've got to jump. We got to start. Let's go into the spaces. I'm a firm believer that if you're going to be utilizing any of this, whether you're going to use it tomorrow or not, all of us should learn the language of these spaces, and the only way is to get in and actually engage with them. So we can talk all day, but that's not what this is about. So go for it. Give us the rundown of a couple of great examples here.
Yeah, if you can see my screen, and you guys can see the Starbucks polygon.
Yes.
Here's the beauty of what Starbucks is doing right now. So they've evolved their loyalty program, which is one of the biggest in the world, to adopt blockchain technology, specifically Polygon, which is an Ethereum-based chain. They are rewarding users now with NFTs. Users have no idea that they have a wallet. They have no idea they have an NFT. They are very intentionally avoiding use of Web3, use of blockchain, use of NFT language, despite building on those rails. The reason they're building on those rails is because now when you earn a badge, that is actually a store of value, right? So that actually says, hey, I've earned this badge because I bought a coffee every week for 4 weeks, or because I bought this special drink, or whatever it is, right? I went through a bunch of quizzes. I'm actually in the Odyssey program and actively playing around in there. They're doing that because I think that they know that the future of our digital lives is going to run through Web3. It's going to be my wallet carries with it my identity. And so consumers don't notice a difference, but they're building their architecture and infrastructure to be future-proof. That's essentially the Starbucks model. And I mean, there's a Starbucks NFT. This is the program's only been around for 2 months. The most expensive one is being resold right now for about $1,500. So all you had to do was buy 2 holiday drinks in December, and you got it, but there were only 5,000 of those. And so because it's got such a limited supply, now, everybody wants a Starbucks holiday thing.
I'm just amazed at that. I mean, and why didn't I know about it? I have the Starbucks app. I would have been all over it.
It's still in beta, Billy.
No, it is. Trust me, I didn't get accepted until like 3 weeks ago. And by the way, here's the marketplace, right? So this is just a general marketplace where now I have this badge, I can go sell my stuff. And you look at the holiday cheer. So right now, the floor of the holiday cheer edition stamp 1, $1,700. I could buy the other ones for $50, $90, $150. I actually have both of these.
Yeah.
Right.
This is amazing. And you know, the Starbucks is doing it the right way where there's no change on the consumer part, right? They're still going to go get their coffee, still do their normal rewards program. And oh, by the way, now you have ownership. And it's so natural. Yeah, I love this.
One of the things that we noticed, Iran, when we actually went into preview the startup, the startup of the Starbucks thing, right? Like onboarding into the platform, they never talk Web3, they never talk NFTs, they do not mention it, they don't talk about wallets.
I think that's the smartest thing possible, right?
Yep,
because
you're just signing in and you've got some badges. Here you go.
Absolutely.
And in the background, you now have a wallet. You're now collecting NFTs. You're you know, they've onboarded people into Web3 by mixing up the broccoli in with the you know with the
with the ice cream.
The way it's gonna have to be done. I mean, really.
Yeah,
they're so smart.
100%.
It is. And Billy, you know, Lisa, you guys said at the top, it was really hard for you to figure out your wallets. And it's really hard for consumers to go straight into Web3 native stuff. The on-ramp is so challenging right now that this is the way it's going to have to be done. It's going to be quietly, invisibly. And, you know, and honestly, Reddit is an amazing example because they have a massive community who are also NFT haters. Like they think Ponzi, scam, security issues, all the bad things you hear about NFTs is what Reddit was amplifying. And then they went and released collectible avatars. Now, again, not everybody knows that these are Polygon-based NFTs that they've just been given, but you had 2 million people claim them in the first, 10 days, something like that. Crazy successful. They, you know, when people are given the opportunity to customize their digital avatar and they're given lots of assets, right? So these assets are NFTs, and then you can buy, sell, and trade the different skins that you can have for how you represent yourself on Reddit. And once again, no mention of NFTs. It's always digital collectibles or collectible avatars. So as we're thinking about that approach versus Porsche, which was a very overt, we want to appeal to the Web3 native community. We want people that already have wallets. They also, by the way, one of their big failures, they tried to charge $1,000 each for their NFTs, which is, you know, a lot of money in a space that's been very challenged over the last year. So, but again, you know, there are others in the space. Adidas has partnered up with several notable projects with Bored Ape Yacht Club and Pixel Vault and others. Nike bought Artifact, which was a very notable Web3 studio. And as you guys go through the actual spaces, and I promise, Lisa, I'm getting there, you will see, in fact, my space that I linked to, by the way, which apparently is the cause of what's crashing out my my screen share. But the on-site
turning off your video might help, Shaman. That always helps.
Try it. I'm going to go fire into On Cyber real quick. And
so I put the link for everyone. Go and try it. I'm in there now, and I see a few others have joined me. We're little our little weird pink heads, little orbital planet people. I don't know what we call. Hi everybody, I love it. Yeah, this is awesome. Actually, this is the fun. This is the beauty of this. Is to, I mean, and really, frankly, my passion about anything metaverse is having a shared experience like this, right? That's why this is really why I secretly started the pub crawl, so I wouldn't just be the only one alone in a room by myself. It's so much more fun to have people in there.
Shaman, this is like your gallery, right? This is everything in your digital wallet, right? You know, shown as a gallery.
Yeah, so I get to choose what from my wallet I want to represent in this space. And this is a space parts and apartment space. It was given to be my Nike because I owned one of their Clone X NFTs. So they gave me a metaverse gallery. Now, if you can make it through the portal on the other side, you'll actually see a bunch of Nike gear. So you'll see, you know, the centerpiece up there is actually a one-of-one AI art piece from Claire Silver, who's a notable AI artist. But you'll see a Nike Crypto Dunk, right? That's their virtual shoe. And you'll see a hoodie in here, and you'll see part of a
oh my God, you guys, this is hilarious.
Like there's all, and then on the walls, you'll see stuff from our collection because we got into the space by wanting to dip our toe in the water and try stuff. So we launched a collection called Non-Fungible Heroes. It sold out and did very well, which is kind of what helped us start Gen City Labs in the first place. And by the way, Lisa, you alluded to it to the top, and Billy, you mentioned it at the top. Anybody who's attending this, drop us a line afterwards, and we will give you something from the Non-Fungible Heroes collection.
Woohoo! You guys all want one. You know you do. You know you do.
What wallet do you recommend for everyone too, Shaman? I mean, there's so many options out
MetaMask is
there.
typically, yeah, MetaMask is usually the best.
Okay.
That's the one that's most compatible with everything. Coinbase Wallet, also good. I don't know that I would recommend anything outside of those two at the moment.
Okay.
But you know, MetaMask is great. The only thing I'd say is if you don't have a wallet, also if you want a walkthrough of how to get a wallet, Koa on our team is kind of our.
Oh no, we're losing Shaman.
Yeah, he was offering my services, which I'm happy to set up something with anybody on this call
I
to help you
appreciate
set
it.
up a wallet and to kind of walk you through some of these first steps. I dropped a link in the chat here. It's learn.metamask.io. I actually dropped a specific link for NFTs and creators. However, just that learn.metamask.io is such an awesome resource just to get some basics and kind of walks you through, what is a wallet, what is blockchain, et cetera. And you can kind of pick and choose based on your own comfort level of the content you want to check out. But love that link. They did a good job. So
Hey,
utilize
Koa,
it. Yeah.
Nathan asked, can he share Shaman's link as far as his gallery? Is that something that we can share with other
Yeah, it's
people?
public.
Yeah.
Totally. It's public. Mhm.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I was just having a hard time finding it. But
I
thank
dropped the
you.
link in chat so everyone can add. Let's move over to spatial. Let's make them. We've got 10 minutes. Again, I want to be mindful of everyone's lunchtime here. So and I have to, I want to get everyone in spatial again, selfishly, because I think this will be the one where I hang out a little bit. And Ricky, you want to speak to why? I know you kind of love this platform and I'm kind of liking it too, but let's jump in and take a look at what Vogue is doing if we can. And I'll post the link here. I will.
Yeah.
I will.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, guys. My Zoom crashed out once again.
No worries, Shaman. We had some good questions and we want to share your gallery if you're okay with that.
Yeah, please. By all means. I really do think that one of the primary early adopter pieces of the metaverse is going to be the new Facebook page, your new profile page.
Yeah.
You'll put pictures of your family and stuff in there still, but you'll also have digital asset ownership represented.
Yeah. You have the best representation of a gallery and your digital identity of anyone I've seen. Where do you promote your gallery? Can I ask? I mean, do you put it on your LinkedIn? Do you?
It's funny. I actually don't. I should have it on my Twitter. My Twitter is kind of the primary message board for Web3 natives. And this is great, by the way. Lisa, is this you, Sharon?
Yeah. So everybody can follow me. We're going to head over. So this is the little foyer entryway. This is Vogue Singapore and what they're doing in spatial. And they've got a whole contest here. So you come over here and you can click on travel to the Club Vogue Singapore and you will be transported.
I'm trying.
We are finding.
Hi, everybody. Oh my God. It's okay. The avatars with the face, with the actual images are so weird. Oh my gosh, you guys, they freak me out.
Hold on a second here. I just want to get a quick picture of all of this.
Get a picture. Hi, everybody.
It's super uncanny valley.
Here we go. I know it's the weirdest thing. I'm not a fan of it.
No, I know. It's why the PFP, it's why the profile picture projects in NFT land are so powerful, because you don't always want a photo of yourself, right? I have a Bored Ape. I represent him as my LinkedIn profile picture. He's my Twitter profile picture. That is a key piece of my digital identity. And I don't need a picture of myself up in all those places. I use that when I do speaking engagements and things
this is a really interesting topic, though, as we think about from kind of a marketing perspective, because back in the day, all the cool kids, all the people that work what I'm going to call, expert immersive world users always had really creative, interesting avatars. They were never hyper realistic, like, right? Like that just wasn't, no, who wants that? Like if you can be anything, why would you want to look just like yourself? And this kind of goes into like, if you're creating a space, why would you create a boardroom or a work pod or like all the normal boring places that we're all in every day? But the question, I think, and that, but how that relates to who you are, who your target audience is. And I know, Billie, you and I have had multiple conversations about, B2B campaign executives don't want a cartoony avatar. They don't, right? There's, I think that the threshold for creative avatar
like myself
is, and I think the threshold is increased. There's less and less of a stigma. I mean, there used to be a huge stigma. Like I would tell anybody that I was in Second Life doing anything and people immediately judged me. This was like 10 years ago or whatever. And I think I was kind of considered to be a little bit of a freak, to be honest. But like today, I'm a freak no longer. And I think that like, if this is my work, like this, well, I am a freak, but that's like a whole nother story. But this could be my work avatar. And again, I think the threshold for this is increasing, where I think more and more on the business side, we understand that, you're not going to just be hopefully in a business suit or whatever you're going to be in. Now, I'm happy to see that, because I think people should be able to be more self-expressive in the workplace, frankly, and I may not be, again, the most, that might not be the most popular view, but I think even, companies are allowing people to have piercings and tattoos now, whereas that used to be completely taboo back in the day. And I think this is following suit.
I do think that there are some.
Sorry, just for anyone trying to join us and you're sitting at that purple door, click on the purple door or the bubble on the purple door so you come into this Vogue Singapore.
Woo, I love how, God, we all look so good. I mean, and that's the other thing I love, like they make it so easy to look good. And we should also say that this is my Ready Player Me, like this is the avatar now that is becoming more and more interoperable, which is lovely, because who wants to spend 5 hours on every platform setting up an avatar every single time? It's like, no, I want this avatar to come with me. And Billie and I have our fun. And this was like one click. It certainly didn't take me hours.
Didn't take long.
No, it doesn't take long.
Facial's not larger, to tell you the truth. And why Macy's would choose, whatever
on cyber.
Coming from the event, several of us on GCL side come from the events industry, and you really need, like, you can't just open a store for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and expect people to be there all the time, right? You can't just open experience and leave it. And you don't have, it really does take a moment of aggregation, a meaningful period of time to be there to get that audience in and excited. And that's like a party or a concert or a special speaker or something. But if it's just open, then you can come hang out for a minute and you're like, oh, okay, this is great, but there's nobody here. And I think in general, if you look at open metaverses like that, in Roblox or Fortnite, right, which can kind of be considered metaverses despite the kind of lack of ownership and Web3 connection, you have that because you've got games, right? You've got ongoing games that you have people playing, that people enjoy, and there's a constant competition, collaboration going on.
Oh my God, I love this. Spence, I've never felt closer to you than I do right now.
By the way, the other beauty of spatial is that it's got proximity-based audio. So if you have audio enabled, when you're close to somebody, you can just talk to them, much like real life.
That is so important to call out. So all these platforms, if they're worth anything, do have voice capabilities, and that's really exciting. And that we could all be, if technology, and we could all be in the space talking to one another in a really cool way. It's a little scary to test right now, and I'm not going to do it because there's going to be horrible reverb and yada yada. But really important. This is definitely more than just visuals, right? There's a whole audio layer here, and with the spatial audio component, it definitely makes it, you could have 500 people in a room and everybody could be having their own conversations if the room were big enough.
I would like to say a couple of things about that if I could.
Yeah, do it.
I love this world. It is one of the better looking worlds. It's still it's still a little chunky, but at least it feels a little bit more walled garden than a lot of the places. You had a screenshot of one of the environments on your PDF there, your screen. That was terrible. No art direction, just anyone can do anything, and it's awful. This is actually kind of pretty, and I like the ability to move around and dance and kind of be close to each other. There's still that loss of the visceral there-ness of us talking with our faces, and I'm sure that'll come along. But this is pretty darn good.
I did create mine with my face, Spencer, and
oh my God.
It was creepy. I mean,
it was so creepy. I couldn't even look at it last night. I was like, Billy, turn that thing off. It's freaking me out.
Well, okay, so it's just a tiny little plug on a project that we just worked on last year called Telly Club, which you guys have both been in before, right? Lisa, you were in there with us, right?
Yeah, totally. My face on a TV. I'm walking around as a TV person.
So this is 7-Eleven, everybody, just if you're watching, this is another example. This is a 7-Eleven store that is available. Now, whether this 7-Eleven is, I mean, I don't know. Like, the thing is that sometimes these, the fans will build content, like the Vans experience could very well be fan built. And although I hesitate to see someone building a 7-Eleven store because they're a big fan, but you never know.
You never know.
And by the way, it's super interesting to consider, Amazon, which is the ultimate in shopping efficiency, right? Recommendation, flat screen. I find what I want. I click purchase. It's at my house 24 hours later, versus the immersive. Let me browse through and explore and see what I want.
Yeah.
From a shopping, I'm like that's a whole nother meeting. And I'm, by the way, Lisa and Billy, I'm so annoyed. You guys only schedule an hour for this. What?
I know because we're on a tight, we're on a tight hour lunch.
I know.
Here.
90 minutes.
Well, come back next month and keep joining us, because you guys are, got the right perspective and you understand the space, and we really need to hear your voice.
Now you can't get rid of me. So too late.
Excellent. Well, guys, I know we are at the hour. Thank you all for joining us. Really, really appreciate you learning along with us and playing in spatial and whatnot. And join us again next month.
Before we go, if there are any questions, I mean, of course, Billy and I can stay longer. I know some of you have to go. Hopefully we'll see you next month. The 4th, please come and we'll talk about our virtual avatars and everything that is involved with that. But if there are any questions, please, let's ask some questions. I love hearing the questions. We're here for it.
I guess while we're waiting for, go ahead. Yeah, please.
I have a beginner question. So talking about what Starbucks is doing, and then what, some of these vendors like Vatum is doing with, taking these Web2 experiences and bringing people into Web3. So you're clicking on a QR code and you don't even know you have a wallet. Then you start talking about, I want to sign up for a wallet. When I don't know I have a wallet, where is that wallet? Like, where does it live? Who?
Usually that's a custodial wallet held by Starbucks, and they'll let you transfer your assets out into your real wallet.
Okay, so it's like a brand owned wallet.
It is. It's not.
Think of it as a bank account or the wallet in your pocket.
Gotcha. Okay.
So when someone's creating it for you, they're just holding it for you like an account. Versus you just
so instead of having like 25 bank accounts with a bunch of different brands, you can centralize it in your own wallet.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Funny use of the word centralized, but
exactly.
Yeah. My binary understanding of it at the moment.
That works.
Yes.
That works.
Great question, Lauren.
Totally.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Also, I wanted to point out
Starbucks thing.
Oh yeah, the Odyssey program is great. I wanted to point out Shaman posted here in the chat. If anybody is interested in getting a non-fungible hero airdrop,
yes, like mine.
Yes, we drop an email to Shaman at Gen City Labs or Koa at GenCityLabs.io. We'll help you out, and we're all here now.
Makes you feel, special and all that. Gives you the
it also gives you street cred. It gives you street cred when you're going Web3.
That's right. We all need more street cred.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Yay!
Thank you. This is so fun way to learn.
Yay! Right?
Yes,
so glad you joined. This will be available on demand. We'll send that out, and we'll see y'all next time. So thank you so much again for coming, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
It's so good to see
Bye.
everybody.
All right.
Bye.
And Lisa.
Hi, Mike. How are
Hey,
you?
pretty good. Thanks.
Good. And
Hey,
hi,
So good to
Victor.
see you, Mike.
How
And
are you all?
Victor.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stop
a quick
So
recording.
sorry
question.
our event got canceled yesterday.
Yeah, I never saw a notification of that, so I gave up my ticket, and then I got a nice email back from the contact that will be contacting when they're going to reschedule it.
And I hope you'll join, Mike. I whenever it does get rescheduled, I'd love to hang out.
I was going to
Great.
drag Mike with me yesterday, but he
Excellent.
all got canceled. Yeah.
Excellent. Aw.
Yeah, we should stay in touch.